What's up, guys? So I got asked to do a video about being a Southpaw and if being a Southpaw is an advantage. And I will say that I do think it is. I think it's an advantage, but I don't think it's as big of an advantage as it used to be. It used to be a real big advantage. Like back in the 80s, Marvin Hagler, like a lot of people did not want to fight Marvin Hagler because he was a Southpaw. And obviously because he was good and he was world class and one of the best in history as well. But part of that was because of being a Southpaw. Like when you were a Southpaw back in the day, nobody wanted to fight Southpaws. Back coming up. Nowadays, you have guys that constantly switch stances in MMA and guys that switch stances in boxing as well. But it's not as big of an advantage anymore as it used to be, but I still think it's an advantage. For sure I do. And I don't necessarily say it's an advantage at a UFC level, at the high levels, because guys, definitely not top 10 guys necessarily, because guys know how to fight now so well at the high level. Like if you're talking about a top 10 fighter, they've sparred or fought. Like you take someone like Israel Adesanya or Pereira, they had 60, 80 kickboxing fights before they came to MMA. So they fought plenty of Southpaws, guaranteed. But it is an advantage because the Southpaw if you're the orthodox fighter, they see you every day and you don't see them. So for the average guy, not the person that has a bunch of fights already, that's had so much experience already fighting Southpaws, when you first fight, when you realize it, it's hard to fight them. It's very hard to fight them at first. And it takes time, and there's a learning process you go through on how to deal with them and specific techniques you should work to deal with Southpaws for sure. But it's on the lower levels, the regional, like a regional MMA scene, amateur MMA, pro MMA, I definitely do think it's still an advantage for sure. Because I think that there's gyms, like even here in Dallas-Fort Worth where I live, there's gyms right now that you can walk into and there'll be 10, 15 fighters on the mat and there'll only be one Southpaw out of the group. And like my gym, I turn a lot of guys Southpaw. If people wrestled with their right-handed and they wrestled right leg lead, like if they were high school wrestlers and they stood with their right leg in front to do a takedown, I turned them Southpaw already. And I've never understood why boxing coaches don't understand this. They take a wrestler that's fought his whole life with his right leg in front, like basically in a Southpaw stance, but then because he's right-handed, they turn him orthodox. Not realizing the fact that he's just learning how to box, most likely to go for takedowns if he has a extensive wrestling background. So I'm a big believer in a wrestler who starts with a right leg lead needs to be a Southpaw. And the same and vice versa, if a wrestler has a left leg lead, he should be orthodox. That's just the way I coach it, and it's been working out very well for my fighters. But it's not as big of an advantage as it used to be, but it is an advantage in my opinion. When you, a couple of things, the liver is on the right side of your body. So if you're fighting a Southpaw, let's say I'm orthodox, they throw that rear leg body kick, my liver's right there every time. Now that doesn't mean they're going to hit it flush or I'm going to let them hit it flush, but that's something to think about as well. And also they tend like in the regional level, they tend to know how to deal with your moves better than you do theirs, just because they see you every day. So they're used to seeing a lot of straight right hands come at them from the orthodox fighter, and they're able to slip off and step off and avoid them. So I would say that you need to, if you don't have a Southpaw to practice with, you need to practice. You maybe need to go around and spar some. You maybe need to go to some open mats and spar some if you're a local regional fighter somewhere and just trying to get more experience against Southpaws. Go around and spar rounds with them. And if you find a good Southpaw, train with them once a week or whatever, even if he's not part of your gym. But I would say you need to do drills specifically on how to beat Southpaws and stuff like that, because they do see you every day. So just, I guess, for the person who asked the question, it is an advantage. It is an advantage if you don't know how to fight them. And they usually know how to fight you as the orthodox fighter better than you know how to fight them, just because they see if they're a Southpaw in the gym, they're probably one of a very few in a gym, and then the majority of the fighters are orthodox fighters. So it can be an advantage for sure. So I would say maybe at the top 10 level it's not, but everyone else it's an advantage to be a southpaw, I think, in my mind, and it's something that you should definitely address as a someone who's fighting and someone who wants to possibly turn pro one day, who's an amateur fighter. You should definitely address learning how to deal with the southpaw. I hope that answers your question. If you got any more questions or any subjects you'd like me to talk about, leave a comment below. And if you're new to martial arts, get my book, The Ultimate Guide to Choosing Your Martial Arts School and Instructor. Link is in the description below. Thank you guys.